Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. In our last session, we discussed about the Swarupa Lakshana. After discussing Tatastha Lakshana, we did Swarupa Lakshana. And in continuing that, in the 61st shloka, Adi Shankaracharya says, Yad bhasa bhasyater kadi bhasyahi yad tu na bhasyate yena sarvam vidam bhati tad brahma iti avadharaya. So, Yad bhasa bhasyater kadi, by the light of which everything gets its own illumination. Sun gets its illumination from that supreme reality. Sun, moon, all the luminous orbs, stars, all these things, they get the illumination from that supreme reality. So, yad bhasa bhasyate arkadi, bhasya hi yad tuna bhasyate. These things which have received illumination from that supreme reality cannot illumine that supreme reality. In the same way, intellect is illumined by consciousness, by supreme reality, pure self, and therefore intellect cannot illumine that supreme reality. As yad bhasa bhasyate arkadi bhasya hi yad tuna bhasyate yena sarvam idam bhati, that which illumines everything, tad brahma iti avadharaya. So understand that, realize that to be Brahman. So up to here we had seen in our last session. Today we'll take up a new shloka for discussion. Swayam antah bahihi vyapya bhasayan akhilam jagat brahma prakashate vanni pratapta ayasa pindavat. Now, Swayam Antah Bahihi Vyapya. Everything is pervaded by that alone, by that pure self. Within and without, all pervading. Externally also, internally also, everything is pervaded by that supreme self alone. Now, when is it possible for something to pervade completely? We have also seen an example earlier among the elements, among the 5 elements, Akash, Vayu, Agni, and Jal and Prithvi. They are the 5 elements. Out of these 5, Akash is the subtlest of all. And Akash, that which is subtlest, is more pervasive than the grosser ones. So, space being the subtlest of all, space is the most pervasive of all the 5 elements compared to air, fire, water and earth element. So space, we have seen in earlier example also, we have seen space, how it is pervasive. It is within us also, without us also. There is space within the body, there is space outside the body. So there is space inside the matter, there is space outside the matter. Even we have seen that inside the atom also there is space, which is the smallest part of the matter. Atom consists of subatomic particles. In that, the electrons, they revolve around the nucleus made up of neutrons and protons. Now the space inside that atom, 99.999999 up to 16 times you have to put 9, that much percentage of that atom is only empty space. So that much pervasive is space within and without. Hmm? Swayam antah bahi vyapya. Now space being the subtlest of all elements, it pervades in and through everything, matter also. Now imagine that supreme reality, the absolute truth, the pure self, pure awareness, supreme consciousness, which is subtler than even space, because space is again inert thing, and there has to be a conscious knower to know the existence of space. So that which is subtler than space should be more pervasive than space, because that supreme reality is also the substratum of space. So Swayam anta bahi vyapya. Now, what can be vyapya? What can pervade everything? Only that which is the upadana karana. Upadana karana is the material cause. To make anything, to produce anything, to make anything, we need three causes are required. What are the three causes? The three causes are upadan karan, yantrik karan, and nimitta karan. So upadan karan is the material cause, yantrik karan is the instrumental cause, and nimitta karan is the efficient cause or intellectual cause. So there are three causes. For example, when a potter, we have to produce a mud pot, these three causes have to come together. For mud pot, material cause is the mud, and the instrumental cause is the potter's wheel, and then potter himself is the efficient cause or the intellectual cause. So when these three causes come together, a mud pot is produced. Now here, in the creation of this existence, all the three causes are rolled into one. Like the example that comes is the material cause as well as the upadan karan, yantrik karan, and the nimitta karan, all the three. So the material cause, instrumental cause, and the efficient cause, all three are rolled into one. It is the one thing only. So together, one example that is often quoted in the scriptures is that of spider. Spider weaves the web. Now the material of this web comes from the spider's mouth. And then the instrumental cause is also the spider. The spider keeps running around, and that is how he's forming the web. And the material is coming out of his mouth. If there is excess material, he'll swallow that. So accordingly it goes. So he is the instrumental cause also, and he is the efficient cause also behind that web. So all the three rolled into one is the spider's web. The spider itself is the material cause, upadan karan, instrumental cause, the yantrik karan, and the efficient cause of the nimitta karan. One. Similarly, in this existence also, in the creation of this existence, whatever we see around, so that same supreme reality is all the causes rolled into one. So it is upadan karan also, yantrik karan also, efficient cause also, or the nimitta karan also. So everything rolled into one. And therefore, if you look at it, any effect has to have a cause. Any effect has to have a cause. If we further analyze, we'll come to realize that all effects are actually modification of the cause. The cause is modified, and then we see the effect. Further, if we analyze, we'll see that actually effect is nothing but the cause itself in another form. So it is totally cause itself in and through the effect. For example, we see wheat grains. Wheat grains are kept on one side. Then some of that wheat grains has been ground into flour, wheat flour. So that is kept. Now wheat flour and wheat grains, they appear different, but they are 100% the same, nothing but the wheat only. Wheat flour is nothing but wheat only. Now in the third section, the kneaded wheat is kept, wheat flour is kept. They add some water and knead it into a flour, wheat flour, and that is kept. Now all the three look different, but they are 100% wheat alone. And the fourth section, rolled out rotis are kept. Now that also looks different, but they are again wheat alone. And then the baked bread or the rotis, that is kept there. So all these things look different, but they are 100% made out of wheat. So wheat itself in different form is called as wheat flour, kneaded wheat, or the rolled into rotis or bread flour, and then you get the final product, bread or roti or whatever it is. They're all same. So the cause itself appears in the effect. So the cause is pervading in and through the effect. Through that bread, in and through that bread, that wheat is there. In and through that roti, the wheat is there. So this way, the cause itself is the effect. So therefore, Adi Shankaracharya said, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Sarva Khaluvidam Brahma. Everything is Brahman alone, because that alone pervades in and through everything and being. Now the thing is that a question may arise. The pure self or Brahma Tattva is of the nature of Sat and Chit, of the nature of existence and consciousness or knowledge or awareness. Whereas matter has got none of these qualities. Neither it is of the nature of existence nor consciousness. It draws its existence and consciousness, so to say, from that supreme reality alone. So, how do they come together? How did it happens like that? So then here the example is given here now. Now Swayam Anta Bahi Vyapya Bhasayat Akhilam Jagat Brahma Prakashate Vannihi. Brahma Prakashate. That Brahma Tattva alone illumines everything in this entire existence. Brahma Prakashate Vannihi. And then the example is given as Pratapta Ayasa Pindavat. Pratapta Ayasa Pindavat. This example is also often quoted in the scriptures. This is called as mutual superimposition. That which is not of the nature of Jada, it appears to be Jada, or it appears that the Jada appears to be sentient because of mutual superimposition. For example, here it is given this Taptaya Pindavat. An iron ball is there. That iron ball is black in color or dark in color. And that iron ball has got weight also. It is cold to touch. This is one thing. Fire on the other thing is that it has got no weight and no shape, but it has got heat and golden yellow color it has got. Now, when that iron ball is put into the fire, there will be a mutual superimposition. So, when that iron ball becomes red hot, so now that iron ball acquires the heat and color of that fire, and the fire acquires the shape and weight of that iron ball. This is called as mutual superimposition. And then that iron ball appears like fire, but it is not fire, it is iron ball. All that heat and light, the color is due to that fire. So similarly, as long as the supreme reality is expressing to everything, it has got existence. Because it itself is the nature of existence. Apart from it, nothing has got any existence. It becomes asat. It is Sat Swarupa. So anything other than that becomes asat, non-existent. So therefore, it has got no separate existence other than that. Now here, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, Adi Shankaracharya says in one place, and then he says that Sarva Khalu Idam Brahma. Brahma alone is the truth, and what we see, names and forms and colors and all that thing, Mithya, is illusion. And then he says that Sarva Khalu Idam Brahma. So Brahma Satya first he said, then Jagat Mithya he said. Having said that, then he says that everything is Brahman. So first he separated out Brahma is Satya and Jagat is Mithya. And then he says that everything is Brahman. Everything is Brahman because in ignorance only we see Jagat. Otherwise, when we are seeing at Jagat, we are seeing only Brahman only. And nothing else. Because that alone exists. So that is what we see. When we are seeing due to illusion, when we are seeing an illusory snake on the rope, while we are seeing that illusion of the snake, we are seeing rope alone. 100% rope is what is being seen by us, but because of delusion, it appears like a snake for us. When we are seeing mirage water, we are seeing the desert sand alone. But because of illusion only, we find it is mirage water. We feel it is mirage water. But all the while when we are looking at mirage water, we are looking at sand alone. All the while we are looking at the illusory snake, we are looking at the rope alone. All the while we are looking at this illusory Jagat, we are looking at Brahma Tattva alone. Nothing else exists other than that. So, having said that, then in the next shloka, Shlok 63, Adi Shankaracharya says Jagat Vilakshanam Brahma Brahmanonyat na kinchana. Brahma anyat bhati chet mithya yatha maru marichit. So here now he clarifies what he said in the earlier shloka. He says very clearly now, Jagat Vilakshanam Brahma. Brahma Tattva is other than what we see as Jagat. Other than this, Jagat Vilakshanam Brahma. Brahmanaha anyat na kinchana. Other than Brahman, there is nothing else. Other than that absolute truth, there is nothing else. Other than that supreme reality, there is nothing else. Brahma anyat bhati chet mithya. Whatever we see other than Brahman is mithya. If anything else is seen other than Brahman, then it is mithya. So there is nothing. If it appears anything other than Brahman, if it appears, that is only mithya. And the example given is that yatha maru marichika, like the mirage water. So mirage water example is often quoted. Now, when we are looking at this mirage water, what is the reality of mirage water? Mirage water, now everybody knows the phenomena of mirage water. It is because of the refractory effect on the hot desert sand that it gives an illusion from a distance as if there is water there. But when we are looking at that mirage water, even if we know the phenomena of mirage water, and we know at a distance in the desert that there is no water there, only mirage water is there. Mirage is only that which appears like water. Even if we know that, because of the limitations of our eyes, we'll see that mirage water there, but we'll not run after that. But while we are seeing that mirage water, the so-called mirage water there, we are seeing desert sand alone and nothing else. Other than desert sand, there is nothing more than that in the desert. So mirage water is just an illusion. So if we see anything else, so the multiplicity of names and forms that are there in this entire existence, if we are seeing so many names and forms, they are only appearance alone. There is no paramarthic reality to that, supreme reality to that. It is only an appearance alone. And we take that as reality, and that is why we get caught up in this Jivan Mrityu cycle, birth and death cycle. Jagat Vilakshanam Brahma, Brahmonatyam Kinchana, Brahma Anyat Bhati Chain Mithya, Yatha Maru Marichika. Desert alone is the reality, not the sand, not the mirage water. Now, mirage water cannot have an independent existence apart from desert sand. That too, certain conditions have to be met to see that mirage water. It has to be hot desert sand in summer afternoon to see that mirage water. If those conditions are not met, we can't see mirage water, so to say. So those conditions have to be met. But the reality is the desert sand, not the mirage water. That is the reality. So desert sand was always there. This mirage water is just an appearance. It will go away after some time. When the conditions that are required to produce the effect of mirage, when those conditions no more exist, that mirage water will disappear, only sand will be there. Similarly, this existence also, the world of plurality, names and forms, they have got no existence apart from this Brahman, the absolute truth, the supreme reality. They have no independent existence. So, if they have to exist, if they appear to exist, even for an illusion to appear, there has to be a substratum of reality. Without a substratum of reality, an illusion cannot appear. For the illusion of mirage water to appear, there has to be a substratum of hot desert sand. For the illusion of snake to appear, there has to be the substratum of rope. And the conditions created like that, for the mirage water as well as for the rope, the twilight zone, or the light, insufficient light, and so on. So, for an illusion to be created, there has to be the substratum of reality. Similarly, there has to be a substratum of screen to create the play of light and sound on the cinema screen. Without the substratum of that screen, we cannot see this play of light and sound. We just focus the projector on in the space, we cannot see anything there. So there has to be a substratum of that screen has to be there on which the play of light and sound can be played. So, Yatha Maru Marichika, all these pluralities of names and forms, they draw their existence only because of Brahma Tattva. That alone is real. We have to develop the ability to see that in and through everything and being of this entire existence. That is realization of the self. And therefore, when a person realizes the self, he has pure unconditional love for the entire existence. Because when he realizes the self, he sees his own self in and through the entire existence. The entire existence becomes an extension of his own existence. And therefore, he has got pure unconditional love for all. So, having said that, now we move on to the next shloka. Shloka 64. Drishyate shruyate yadyat brahmanam anyat na tad bhavet tattvajnanat cha tad brahma satchidanandam advayam. Drishyate shruyate yadyat. Whatever is seen, drishyate, and whatever is heard, all that is seen, all that is heard, yadyat brahmana anyat na tad bhavet. There is nothing other than that supreme reality, Brahma. Tattvajnanacha tad Brahma Satchidanandam Advaya. So, once the supreme reality, attaining that knowledge of the supreme reality, Tattvajnanacha tad Brahma, that Brahman alone is there, which is Satchidanandam Advaya. Now, Satchidanandam Advaya. Now, people can mistake this Satchit Ananda as the three gunas or qualities of that supreme reality. It is not so. Satchidananda is not three gunas or three qualities of the supreme reality. Then what it is? That which is Sat itself is Chit, and that which is Sat and Chit itself is Ananda. They are not separate, they are not three different qualities as such. It is one thing alone. Because Sat without Chit will be inert and insentient. Chit without Sat will become Asat, non-existent. So that which is Sat is Chit, yeah, that which is Chit is Sat, and that which is Chit and Sat and Chit is Anandam. So they are not the three aspects or the three gunas or something like that. So one can say it is the same thing, Satchidananda. In a manner of saying it is said, actually to call that supreme reality, Satchidananda is also not the way, because it can't be named, nothing can be said about it. We only give, this is Swarupa Lakshana. We only give the Swarupa Lakshana with relationship to what we understand from the outside world, and from that phenomenal world only examples are quoted. So therefore, because of limitations of word only, this is said. Now here, actually this absolute truth, this Brahman, Tattva Jnana Tat Brahman, this Brahma Tattva alone illumines everything. Without that Brahma Tattva illumining the entire existence, our experiences, our thoughts, our feelings, emotions and sentiments, anger, love, different kinds of emotions and feelings, everything is illumined by the supreme reality, that Brahma Tattva alone. Without that illumining anything, we will not be able to know anything. So that alone is the supreme reality, Satchidanandam. And then Advayam. Advayam, non-dual. Again and again, this Advayam is said. Somewhere it is Advaita, somewhere it is Advayam, and so on. So Advayam, that is non-dual. Non-dual in the sense that one without a second, there is nothing other than that. Both microcosm as well as macrocosm. Microcosm as well as macrocosm, both are nothing but that supreme reality. Nothing else. It pervades in and through both, and both are nothing but this supreme reality alone. It appears as microcosm and macrocosm like that at the individual level and at the totality level of totality. So that is not the reality. So Vyashti and Samashti is not the reality. Both together is the supreme thing. One alone, Ekameva Advitiya. This non-dual reality is difficult to comprehend, but that alone can explain the subtler aspects of philosophy. There are many questions that arise when we go through the path of duality. At some point in time, that cannot satisfy all our doubts and questions. So only when we enter into the realm of non-duality, everything can be cleared there. So, Drushyate Shruyate Yad Yad Brahmana Anyatra Tad Bhavet. Tattva Jnana Cha Tad Brahma, having realized the self, nothing else exists other than that which is of the nature of Satchidananda. That is, existence absolute, knowledge absolute, or awareness absolute, and bliss absolute. Having said this, now we move on to the next shloka, Shlok 65. Sarvagam Satchidatmanam Jnana Chakshuhu Nirikshate Ajnana Chakshuhu Na Iksheta Bhaswantam Bhanum Andhavat. Sarvagam Satchidatmanam. Now, everywhere, every moment, everything and being, what we see is nothing but that supreme reality, that Brahman alone, Satchidatmanam. And then, who can see that? Jnana Chakshuhu Nirikshate. It can be seen only through Jnana Chakshu, not by Charma Chakshu, or not by Ajnana Chakshu. Jnana Chakshu only is required to see that. Now here, one example that we can see these days, we get these pictures on paper. That picture appears as if some colors have been thrown randomly on that. And that picture we have to see in a particular way. And when we look at that picture in a particular way, then we can see a three-dimensional image in that picture. It is simple paper with the colors at random, but there is a way of looking at that. When we see it, then we can see a three-dimensional image in that. So otherwise, if you just look at it, it will appear like some piece of paper with the colors thrown randomly in that. But in a particular way, when you look at it, then we can see a three-dimensional image in that. This is how it is. This is the same world. When we change, when we look at it through the eye of wisdom, that is when the realization of the self happens. Only through the eye of wisdom we see one non-dual reality. That is only experience. That is only that awareness is there and nothing else. Similarly, Jnana Chakshu, if you look at it another way. Now suppose how we go to that Advayam or one non-dual reality. This example I had taken earlier will refresh it, because then of course it will help you when the question answer session comes later on, a couple of weeks later. So this will again help you. So this is revision like. Now Jnana Chakshu. Only Jnana Chakshu has the ability to see the subtler aspects. Now suppose this non-dual reality is difficult to accept because you find sentient and insentient things and beings around, and all of them is nothing but one supreme reality. That is a little difficult to accept or understand. Now let us look at it in a different way. Suppose we have an instrument through which we can see matter. Now matter, it is made up of atoms, and atoms are made up of subatomic particles. Say for example, it is made up of electrons, protons and neutrons. Now we can't see with our naked eye. Suppose an instrument is invented, and through that instrument, if we can see these electrons, protons and neutrons, we wear that instrument and we look at this world around us. What will we see then? Will we see the living beings? Will we see the matter? No. We will only see electrons, protons and neutrons and different permutation and combination in motion. That's all. And nothing else. We do not know where from that electron has come from some leaf or mud or bone or skin or hair. From where it has come, we do not know. It is there a play of electrons, protons and neutrons in different permutation and combination in motion. That's all. Now that is seen through the Jnana Chakshu. And if the Chakshu is made even subtler, beyond the subatomic particles is only one homogeneous mass of energy. And if we have an instrument to see that homogeneous mass of energy, and if that instrument we wear and sit, when we look around the world, we'll see nothing. These trees and mountains and people and animals and things like that, we'll not see anything, but only a homogeneous mass of energy in motion. That's all we'll see. As we make our vision subtler and subtler, all the multiplicity of names and forms immediately starts contracting. Now there were so many names and forms, both living and non-living. The moment we made our vision subtler to limiting to electrons, protons and neutrons, now what was left was only electrons, protons and neutrons. All the living and non-living and all their names and forms disappear simply. And then when we make it subtler, our vision subtler than that, into a homogeneous mass of energy, then even those electrons, protons and neutrons are seen no more. Now it is only energy in motion. And then when we go beyond the energy also, then it is one supreme reality, awareness of the self alone and nothing else. So, sarvagam satchidatmanam jnana chakshuhu nirikshate ajnana chakshuhu na iksheta. It cannot be perceived by ajnana chakshu means when that ajnanta is there, ignorance is there, that cannot be perceived. So, aviveki cannot perceive it. Ajnani cannot perceive it. The one who doesn't have, has not attained that knowledge, has not attained that viveka, he can't see. And the example given is that bhasvantam bhanum andhavat. Like even when the sun is shining brightly, the blind man will not know the sun is shining because he can't see anyway. So he will not know even the sun is shining. Similarly, because of ignorance, even though the supreme reality is all pervasive in and through everything and being, and nay, we are that alone and nothing else, no less than that, and yet we cannot have the direct subjective awareness of that. Aparoksha bodha is not there. Aparoksha bodha is not there because of our own ignorance, because of our aviveka. So that is what is holding us from having this experience, this awareness of the supreme reality. So this is an important factor. Now, ajnana chakshu, we have to convert this ajnanta, avivekata, into jnana and viveka. In the 66th shloka is given the sadhan prakriya. What is the sadhan prakriya? Shravan adi bihi uddiptam jnanagni paritapitah jiva sarvamalan muktah swarnavat dhyotate swayam. Now here the sadhana prakriya is Shravan adi bihi. So what is the sadhana now? Shravana adi bihi. So Shravana, etc. What is this etc.? Shravanam, then Mananam, then Nididhyasanam, then Dharana, and then followed by the Dhyana and Samadhi will come. So it starts with that. So Bihi Uddipta. Now Shravana, what we are doing now is Shravana sadhana. Shravana is the first step, listening to the scriptures. You see, it is not that we can buy this spiritual text. We can buy the spiritual text and then we can read it and then we can comprehend and like that. No, it is not like that. It has to be heard first. Shravana sadhana is said first. If it was so easy to just read and understand, then of course this spiritual knowledge is very subtle. Compared to spiritual knowledge, the other secular knowledge or the knowledge of other subjects of this world must be comparatively easier. But then what we do is that if you know to read and write, as soon as our children come to know to read and write, we do not have to send them to school. Buy the books and give it to them. Let them learn at school there. Let them study at home. So, but no, even though they know to read and write and all that thing, we want to send our children to the best of schools, to the best of universities and all that thing, where the best faculty is there. Why do you choose that? If reading and writing, if you know it and we can study any text and therefore we can study scriptural text also, then there is no need of Shravana sadhana. Then why should we send our children to schools and colleges once they come learn to read and write? buy all the books and let them study at home. No, we don't do that. So to understand that also, we send them to a professional teacher, lecturers, professors, so that they can understand that very well. So same thing happens in the scriptural study also. This is a very subtle subject. Just by buying Upanishads or Bhagavad Gita or Brahma Sutra and things like that and stacking up in our library nicely, so the visitors also will feel, oh, what a learned person is and what type of text he is studying. But if anybody puts a question, then we keep raising here and there. So this cannot be understood without we first listening to that. So listening is the first, Shravana Sadhana is the first thing. Having heard the scriptures first, then we have to go back to that text, what we have heard. Then we read the shloka, the translation, the commentary, and then we do the mananam. When we do the mananam, then all the doubts get cleared. Then we do the contemplation, mananam, reflection. Then nididhyasana is the contemplation. In the contemplation, what happens is that knowledge becomes firm. Because once the doubts get cleared, that knowledge, to firm it, we relate it with our own experience. We relate it with the example from the world of phenomena. And that is how that knowledge becomes firm in us. So that it is our knowledge. For that, we do not have to refer to any books. See, knowledge has to be there with us. It should not be in the books. If the knowledge is in the books, what is the use for us? Money should be in our pocket, not in somebody else's pocket. It is of no use to us. So knowledge should be here, not in the books. So nididhyasana, we get fully established in that knowledge. And then we go into meditation on the higher reality. And that is how we go deeper and deeper into our own consciousness, unveiling the nature, the supreme bliss, supreme reality. That is what it is. So now, Shravana Adibhihi Uddipta. So this sadhana has to be done. Now this sadhana is told to whom? We assume that this is for adhikaris. Those who are sadhan chatushtai sampanna adhikari. Sadhan chatushtai sampanna adhikari is those who have got viveka, vairagya, samadhi, shat sampatti and mumukshutva. So maybe all of us will not be having all these 4 qualities, sadhan chatushtai sampanna, or some of the qualities may be a little bit less, little bit more and all that thing. And there are different stages also in adhikaris also. There are sadhakas are there, jidnyasu, sadhaka, adham adhikari, madhyam adhikari, uttam adhikari, ati uttam adhikari, and all those stages are there. But yet we are on that. So according to that, only the understanding will come. So according to that, the development, how much we have developed the sadhan chatushtai, that will decide what grade of adhikari we are, whether we are adham adhikari or madhyam adhikari or uttam adhikari or ati uttam adhikari. So that will be decided by how much of the sadhan chatushtai we have accumulated, whether we have enough viveka, whether we have vairagya, whether we have shat sampatti, shama, dhamma, uparama, titiksha, shraddha and samadhana and mumukshutva. Even if you don't have the first 3, that is viveka, vairagya and shat sampatti, the 6-fold qualities, if you don't have these 3, but if you have mumukshutva, 1 quality alone, the 4th and the last, nothing else, mumukshutva, a burning desire for liberation from all limitations and bondages, just 1 quality if we have, that is all that is required, that is all that is needed. We have only 1 quality, then we can develop the other one, that I don't want anything else but liberation, moksha from all limitations here and now. That is enough for us to develop the other 3 qualities. So even if we may not be that adhikari, there is no need to be disheartened because of that. We can develop that. So then Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana comes, followed by then Dharana, and then Dhyana Samadhi will come. So Shravana Adhibhihi Uddiptaha. Having done this, then it arises, Uddiptaha, arises Jnana Agni Paritapitaha. So then arises the fire of knowledge, fire of that self-knowledge, knowledge of the pure self, arises. Paritapitaha. So, and then Jiva Sarvamalan Muktaha. Jiva Sarvamalan Mukta. Now this Jiva becomes free from all the impurities in that Jnanagni. That Jnanagni burns away all his Sanchita karma and Agami karma and everything, all the impurities is gone. Everything is gone. So whatever karmas he or she may have performed in the past life is all gone, nothing. And the agami karma, which is yet to be fructified, that is also gone. Only prarabdha karma has to be experienced and exhausted. And experience is not for the self, the person who has realized it. If the body will go through that, who cares for that? So, sarva jiva sarva malan muktaha swarnavat dhyotate swayam. And like when gold, it is removed, as it is brought as ore, it will be having a lot of impurities from the gold mines. When it is extracted as ore, it will be with all the impurities. Then it has to be heated to a certain degree, a certain temperature. And then it is melted and purified, all the impurities are removed, and then it will shine on its own. So this jiva also removed, purified from all the mala. Jiva sarva malan muktaha swarnavat dhyotate swayam. So like gold, it starts shining. Now the thing is that sadhana is very important, and if sadhana is a 24-hour sadhana, every moment, because it is as if we live, like there is an old story about a king. This is a Greek story, I think, a king, that how do you live? How do you rule the kingdom? And all that thing. So he was told that, the questioner was told that I rule this kingdom as if a sword is hanging over my head. By a thin thread, it can fall anytime. So that awareness is always there. And because of that awareness, that death can come any moment. That awareness is there, death can come any moment. So the activities also will be directed according to that only. So similarly, that awareness has to be there as a spiritual seeker. All the while we need to have that awareness, that anytime it can happen. The realization can also come anytime. Death can come, death to the body can come anytime. Realization can also happen any moment. But if that awareness is always there in and through all our activities, even simple things that we do, in and through all the activities, if that awareness is there, that itself is a higher level of evolution, you see. That means we are living at the present moment. To have that awareness all the moment, we have to be living in the present moment exclusively, not in the past or the future. Our mind doesn't allow us to remain in the present. It keeps on traveling to the past and the future. So therefore, that full awareness has to be there. That is also a big sadhana, a very highest type of adhyatmic sadhana, spiritual sadhana, is living 100% the present moment. Even if we can accomplish that, that itself is a great achievement to the spiritual path. So then all the malas will get destroyed and we shine as the supreme reality itself. Now, having said that, in the 67th shloka, thing which destroys the darkness of ignorance, and with that, that which is all pervading, that which is all sustaining, that which is the substratum of everything, that alone exists, and that shines and illumines everything. Now, other than itself, there is nothing to illumine. So it illumines itself alone. And then, now we come to the concluding shloka of this text, Atmabodh. 68th shloka. Dig desha kala adi anapeksha sarvagam shitadi hrit nitya sukham niranjanam yah swa atmatirtham bhajate vinishkriyah sa sarvavid sarvagatah amrutah bhavet. Now, dig desha kala adi anapeksha sarvagam. Anapeksha. Now, dig desha is the space, kala is the time, adi, etc. and then anapeksha, not dependent on any of these, space, time, causation, or anything other, or external, any of the things, Dik Desha Kala Adi Anapeksha, not dependent on any of these things, Sarvagam. Shitadi Rit. Shitadi means all this cold and heat and everything which has been destroyed, that. Nitya Sukham, that is eternal bliss, Nitya Sukham. And then Niranjanam means without any blemish, without any anjanam, without any blemish, without any blame. Yes, Swa Atma Tirtham Bhajate, and now he worships the same self. Yes, Swa Atma Tirtham Bhajate, Vinishkriyaha, renouncing everything. So Vinishkriya means renouncing everything. Now he has renounced everything beyond limitations, not dependent on any of the limitations of space, time, causation, etc. And having destroyed all the pairs of opposites like Shita, Ushna and everything, becoming pure, that is Malan Mukta, Niranjanam. Yes, Swa Atma Tirtham Bhajate, Vinishkriya, Sa Sarvavit Sarvagata Amruto Bhave. Such a one, he becomes immortal. Sarvavit, he is all-knowing, Sarvagataha, all-pervading, and Amrutaha, immortal. He becomes all-knowing, all-pervading, and immortal. Now, the realization is going beyond all the limitations and bondages. We feel only limited because of our own ignorance. We feel limited by the body, limited in space, limited in time, limited by cause. So we are limited by space in the form of the body, limited by time because his body was produced in a particular time and will be destroyed, created in time and it will be destroyed in time. So limited by time, and then limited by causation. The cause, that is the karma, some of the karma phala that made into the formation of this body. So whatever those karma phalas were, now whatever we have to experience according to that karma phala, that type of body, mind, intellect and organs have been given to us. So we are limited by that karma phala only. So that type of body is given, only those kind of experiences will come to us. So limited by space, time, then causation. So all these limitations are there, and therefore we feel very limited and finite. Now the thing is that here in the liberation from all these limitations, then what happens is that all the dualities are, the pairs of opposites are also destroyed at the same thing, at the same time. Then this heat and cold, Sukha Dukkha, all sansaric heat and cold and all that pairs of opposites, they no more exist for us. Dharma, Adharma, Hinsa, Ahimsa and all that thing no more exists for us. It is gone. And then what remains is only one pure self. And now worship at the level of duality, that is the Dvaita, Vishishta Advaita and then Advaita. There are three levels. One is at the Dvaita level, then at the Vishishta Advaita level, and then the Advaita level. There can be worship of Sagun Sakar, worship of Sagun Nirakar, but there cannot be any worship of Nirgun Nirakar. Because by the time we transcend the Sagun Nirakar worship, we have become one with the Nirgun Nirakar. Then who will worship whom? So worship is limited only up to the Sagun Sakar and Sagun Nirakar, not beyond that. Then only self alone is there, having that. Now, yes, Swatma Tirtham Bhajate, Vinishkriyaha, renouncing everything now. Now, such a one becomes Sarvavit Sarvagataha. Now, when the dream ends, what happens? When the dream ends, the dreamer himself becomes the waker. So what is the difference between the dreamer and the waker? The one who was the dreamer, that dreamer himself becomes the waker. Only the situation changes, only the state of consciousness changes and he himself becomes the waker. Similarly, when this Jivatma is there and when the finite ego is dissolved, this Jivatma, the same Jivatma transcends the body, mind and intellect equipment And then having transcended that, he goes beyond the limitations of space, time, and causation. And therefore, now he is one with the supreme reality. The same Jivatma. Like the same dreamer becomes the waker, same Jivatma becomes the Paramatma, the supreme self. So sarvavid sarvagata amrito bhavati. Once he becomes that, then he becomes that immortal self. So therefore, becoming the immortal self, we cannot say in a manner of saying we say it, but it is not so, because even now also we are that immortal self only. Only thing is that we have no awareness of that. That awareness we are lacking. That is the thing. So that awareness, when it is there, then there is no question of any death. When the body dies, we say so and so died. That is out of unawareness. But when awareness is there, then that will not happen. So awareness is everything. Now with this, we have concluded this Atmabodh text, 68 shloka of Adi Shankaracharya ji. So we started discussing from 25th shloka onwards. Now we have to, what we have concluded now is only Shravan Sadhana. Now begins the Manana Sadhana. So next 2 weeks we will be doing Manana Sadhana. Each one will be doing his or her own Manana Sadhana. Manana and Nidhyasana Sadhana. And then we'll be ready for the grand question answer session, with the difference that I will be asking the question. Now, Shravan Sadhana we have completed. Now we have to start the Manana Sadhana. To begin the Manana Sadhana, we'll make a beginning. So we'll chant the Dhyana Shloka. The first shloka we'll chant, Atmabodh. That is, Tapo vikshina papanam shantanam vitaraginam mumukshunam apekshoyam Atmabodho vidhiyate. So now begins our Manana Sadhana. We just concluded the Shravana Sadhana. That doesn't mean that we have to close our Atmabodh text and keep it. Now which the next text we'll be taking? It's not that easy. First, we have to do the Mananam and Nididhyasanam also, know how much we have understood of this. And then we have to test it also. Otherwise, we'll be in ourselves in delusion. Okay, we have done Atmabodh. Atmabodh, I know we have done it. Okay. So now how much we know of this Atmabodh, that we need to know. So only when a test is there, therefore a question answer session has to be there, where I'll be asking the questions and you'll be answering me. That will be a good one. So we have got a couple of weeks to study, and I'll give some concession in the sense that I will not ask questions from the text which we didn't do together. From 25th shloka onwards. Okay. So much concession. 24 shloka I will not ask the questions. Okay. So that much concession is there. So now the next 44 shloka, the questions will come. So 44 shloka, you have got 2 weeks to prepare. Approximately say per day 3 shloka, not too much, can prepare very well. So with that we conclude this text. Now having done that, now the next text that we'll be taking, that is our next session will be now on the 31st of July will be the next session. Next Friday we will not have a session because I have to give enough time to prepare also, isn't it? Otherwise it will be too much of a problem. So next Friday we will not have a session. You engage in preparation. Then 31st we'll have a session where I'll be asking the questions. And then the next text will be taking from 7th August onwards. We'll take the next text. The next text that we'll be doing is Drigdrishya Viveka. It is a small text, and it is also a very good text where we study about the meditation also in that. Now, according to what I was told is that instead of now having a question answer session, we should have this meditation session. So, before we take up any meditation techniques, we need to first understand what meditation is all about. What we are supposed to do in this meditation. Because Most of the time, we do not know what meditation is. We only see a statue of Buddha sitting in meditation, or a statue of or painting of Vivekananda, a photograph of Vivekananda sitting in meditation. And then we think that we have to close our eyes and sit cross-legged. That is meditation. So we need to understand what it is all about, what meditation is all. The important factor is that meditation has got several definitions. So first, let us understand what meditation is before we go on to any practice, particular practice of meditation. Meditation is defined in a variety of ways, but the best definition I like about meditation is a journey which begins from where we are right now and ends in where we have always been. So it is a journey without distance. It is a journey from myself to myself. It is a journey from me, I, the Jivatma, to I, the Sarvatma, the pure self. So it is a journey without distance. It is journey within, without distance. And it is a journey from ignorance to knowledge. So that is a journey without distance. So that is the best definition I like about meditation. So now we understand whatever text we study, having studied that, then we do the Mananam and Nididhyasanam, Shravan, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. Contemplation also we do. And then we go deeper into our own consciousness in the session of meditation. Now, before we begin meditation, any technique of meditation, what we need to understand is that the first and important thing that is required for meditation is our mind should be calm and tranquil, single pointed. Without making our mind single pointed, there is no question of any meditation. We'll be sitting with our eyes closed, and because at any given moment in time, most of us, our minds are like stormy sea or like a poultry farm. Eyes may be closed, lips are not moving, we are not talking, but the mind is a chatterbox. It will go on chatting away of the past or of the future. What am I supposed to do immediately after meditation? I have to do this and that and everything. That is, the planning is going on inside by sitting like this with the closed eyes. So sansara is going on within inside. So that is not meditation. So first we need to understand what it is, and we need to first make our mind single pointed. Before we talk about the dhyana and samadhi is a very high stage. Forget about this dhyana and samadhi. First, we'll have to focus on dharana alone, because the first step is to calm the this fickle mind, the fleeting mind, the continuously moving mind. We have to calm that. That is the biggest task. So, dhyana and samadhi we cannot do. In Ashtanga Yoga, there are 8 limbs of this yoga: Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. So the first 6 limbs, that is Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana. They are the first 6 limbs. These can be taught, these can be learned, this can be practiced. But the last 2, Dhyana and Samadhi, cannot be taught, cannot be learned, cannot be practiced. Only if you have perfected the first 6 limbs, Dhyana and Samadhi will happen. So we need not worry about Dhyana and Samadhi. Our job is to perfect the first 6 limbs up to the stage of Dharana. First thing is that making the mind single pointed, which is the toughest of everything. It is not easy to make our mind single pointed because our mind is engaged in 1001 things. It is very good at multitasking. When it is told to do one thing, it will do that thing also and think about something else also. So it is like that. Therefore, first step in this meditation is how to calm the mind. That is an important factor. Our mind, as I have said, that existence of mind itself is a disease. And a disease cannot be healthy. That way, both existence of the body as well as mind is a disease. And it cannot be healthy. It has got only 2 states: normally unhealthy or abnormally unhealthy. There is no other state. There is no thing as healthy mind or a healthy body. There is no such thing, because they are constantly modifying. Their existence itself is a disease. So where is the question of a healthy body? Body itself is a disease. And when it is born, from the next moment onwards, it keeps modifying itself to meet its ultimate goal of death. So the expiry date is stamped at birth itself on the body. Nothing can be done about it. And it is continuously modifying itself towards its own destruction. That which is continuously modifying itself towards its own destruction cannot be called as healthy. It is called as normally unhealthy. And while this process is going on, when a disease manifests in that, then it is called as abnormally unhealthy. Same thing is with the mind. A vast majority of our people will have a mind which is normally unhealthy. And those whose minds are maybe some issue they have, psychological issues they have, so they may be, compared to the vast majority of the crowd, they may be less. So these majority will call them as psychiatric patients. And of course, the great masters who have transcended mind itself, their behavior will also not match with the majority of the people whose minds are normally unhealthy. So they will not match with them. So they will call these great saints and sages and masters also as mad people. So whoever behavior doesn't match with the majority, they are called as mad people. So those who already have psychological issues, of course, their behavior will not match with the majority. So they will be called as mad, because they are now abnormally unhealthy, whereas the majority of them are normally unhealthy. So existence of mind itself is a disease. So there is no question of a healthy mind. We have to transcend mind itself. You see, Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi keeps telling one thing. Don't talk about Mano Laya. Talk about Mano Nasha. Mano Laya means it is a temporary thing. After a time, like there is a laya. When we go into the deep sleep state, there is a Mano Laya. There it doesn't trouble us. Therefore, all the troubles of all the sorrows and miseries of our waking state and dream state doesn't touch us in the deep sleep state, because there is Mano Laya temporarily in the deep sleep state. When we wake up again, the mind arises and all things start. So that is called Manolaya. We don't want Manolaya. We want Mano Nasha. So that once and for all, it will not trouble us. Like the roasted grains, it cannot germinate. It can only nourish, but it cannot germinate anymore. So it is Mano Nasha. That should be the aim. So this mind itself is a problem. So once we have conquered the mind, then we have conquered everything. If you have not conquered the mind, then even if we conquer the whole world, what is the use? Where we rule, we have lost. One place we have lost. If we have lost our mind, then we have gone. If we have conquered our mind, that is it. So that is an important factor. So before starting this meditation practice, then what are the things we should know? What are the things that agitate our mind? What are the things that troubles our mind? In what ways our mind gets attracted into the unnecessary fields and goes on moving here and there unnecessarily? Why that mind is not Vairagi? Why that Viveka is not there? Why that mind is not able to withdraw within? Why it wants to go outside? Why it is thinking about one thing or the other? Even though intellectually we can understand very well that everything is temporary, impermanent, nothing is going to last. So, but we take things in this world so seriously. Somebody said something, we didn't like it. Now that person said it, I got hurt, you see. That person shouldn't have said like that. I got hurt. Or so and so insulted me. They're all temporary in the temporary world. All impermanent things. And then we get so much hurt, we get so much agitated, we get so much carried away by all that thing. Is it necessary? There is no need for that. So the thing is that our mind will go into all these kind of things. How to train our mind to withdraw from that, not to take it seriously. As our scriptural study increases, as one by one we keep on studying the scriptures, we get a better understanding of the world around us and the reality of it. Then slowly we start withdrawing, in the sense that we don't take things seriously around us. Things happen. Good and bad things happen. Positive and negative things happen. Many things happen in this world. Okay. So that has been happening since the Satyuga also. All yugas, Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga, and then the cycle goes again. It has been happening for Yuga. It is happening. It is going on like that. And when we take it at an individual level, that is when our problem starts. As long as you see there are ways and means, as long as the boat is in the water, there is no problem. But when the water enters the boat, then disaster strikes. Then it is disastrous. As long as the boat is moving around in the water, it has got no problem. But if the water enters the boat, then it will be a catastrophe. So we should not allow the water to enter the boat. What is this water now? Our boat is the mind, and this water is the world around us. So we should not allow that to enter. Another example which Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say regarding the mind, because everybody has got problems of the mind, and I don't think there would be any master who must not have faced a question from his disciple how to control the mind, how to make the mind single pointed. I am sure each and every master, each and every rishi, each and every saint, sage or master, everybody must have faced this question from their devotees and their disciples. How to make the mind single pointed. So the thing is that to make that, it is very difficult. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also was put this question. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa gave an example. He said that mind is like milk. So mind is like milk and the world is like water. So when the milk mind goes into the water world, what will happen? So the milk mind, when it goes into the water world, all the water will enter in that and there will be no trace of any milk. It will be contaminated by the water world. We do not want this contamination. So then what to do? Then Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says that what do we do with the milk now? The milk, we curdle the milk and then we churn out butter out of that. And that butter we put in water. And let that butter float all over the place. Not one drop of water will enter that butter. So we have to convert our milk mind into butter mind and then move around in this world without allowing a drop of world water to enter our mind. Now, how to go about converting our milk mind into butter mind? That is also very important. So, some of you must have heard about, I must have spoken about this code for deconditioning the mind. Our mind has been conditioned right from birth. From our birth itself, we have been conditioned in a variety of ways. We have been conditioned at home, in the neighborhood, in the society, at school, in university, in office, with colleagues and all. Whatever we see, we hear, our mind is conditioned by 1,001 things and 1,001 things of mind gets conditioned. And to break out of this conditioning becomes a big task. It is almost, we feel as if it is impossible to break out of that. So we have to now train our mind to get out of this conditioning. The worst thing is what, our beliefs, deep-rooted beliefs, or long-cherished beliefs and conceptions, all our concepts and conceptions that we may be having or opinions we may be having, which may be good or bad, whatever it is, it may be true or wrong, or which may be false also, we do not know. First, to break out of that and to have an open mind itself is a big thing. To break out of all those things, that itself is a big shackle. Because of brainwashing and the conditioning that the mind has gone through for almost lives together, not only in this life, but lives together. Now to break out of that, so we need to now decondition the mind, the conditioning that we have put in our mind. So we need to decondition it. So the deconditioning process has to start. So I made some 15 or 16 quotes for meditation to decondition the mind. So if we follow those quotes for deconditioning the mind, then one by one, we can use it and we can practice it. So the very first code is very important. The very first code is that change what you can and accept what you cannot change. Change what you can and accept what you cannot change. So the thing is that, first thing is that have the courage to change what you can, have the serenity or tranquility or serenity to accept what you cannot change. And the third most important thing is that, and have the wisdom to know the difference between the two, what I can change and what I cannot change. When I try to change what I cannot change, I'll be frustrated. And what I don't change, what I can change, I don't change. Then again, there is no progress, no development. So therefore, this should be very clear. I cannot change the weather, but I can change myself. If I wake up at say 12, if I am a Surya Vamshi waking up at 12 noon, maybe I can make myself a promise that, okay, from tomorrow onwards, I'll wake up at 11 o'clock at least, not like 12 noon today. So now I'm changing myself. I cannot change the weather outside, but I can change myself, my sleep cycle, my lifestyle, all these things I can change. Whatever changes I want to bring within myself, I've got control over that. So I can change myself. So the thing is that what we can change, we do not want to change. What we cannot change, we try to change, and then we get frustrated. What we are supposed to change, we don't change, and we don't benefit from that. So as a rule, man's a fool. When it's cool, when it's hot, he wants it cool. When it's cool, he wants it hot. Always wanting what is not. This is what happens. So the first thing is that we need to change whatever we can. If something which we can change, we should change. Something which we cannot change, accept it with serenity that this thing I cannot change, and have the wisdom. And then, what is wisdom? When you have to define what is wisdom, wisdom is common sense in an uncommon degree is called wisdom. So we have to understand that common sense in an uncommon degree is called as wisdom. Do we have that wisdom? That we have to understand. So in a similar way, we have got other codes for deconditioning the mind. As when we start our meditation sessions with the next text, when we do Dikdiksha from 7th August, we will do Dikdiksha Vivek. Then instead of having question answer sessions, so after 1 hour of talk, then we'll have the next 15 minutes for meditation we'll devote. So we'll take one code for deconditioning the mind and one technique also we can take in that. So this way we can understand what is required. So with this, we'll conclude today's session, and this is the concluding session for Atmabodh. So I invoke Param Puja Gurudev's grace and blessings and all of us, on all of us. May he guide us in our spiritual life as well as in the worldly life. May he grant us progress and success in the worldly life as well as on the spiritual path. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Harihi Om.
Swamiji?
Yes.
Next Friday, one session will be taken, Swamiji. Unless you are busy.
No, next Friday I am not taking any session. I am giving 2 weeks time to study Atmabodh.
Swamiji, that is more than enough.
Not enough.
That is more than enough, Swamiji, 2 weeks.
And 44 shlok, and shlok also I have reduced. Instead of 68, I have reduced to 44 shlok, only those which I have discussed with you. Only those shlok only. But I will be asking questions on that. So better prepare it thoroughly.
So subject matter is little less than the time available, Swamiji.
Subject matter is little less than the time available. No, subject matter is too dead. I'll be asking the questions, no?
No, but next Friday, Swamiji, you must come.
Huh? Next Friday?
Take that Chidakash Dharana.
This I will be doing Chidakash Dharana. I will be doing when I start doing the meditation. The first 7 steps of Chidakash Dharana I'll have to do, no? But I will start doing it step by step. Okay. So I'll take it step by step. First practice, second practice, third practice, like that. And Chidakash Dharana is the 8th practice. So I should not be speaking about the 8th stage before practicing the first 7 stages, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
So then, so 2 weeks we have got to prepare, and then we take the Dilbisha Vivek. So everybody should be ready with the Dilbisha Vivek text. So,
Swamiji, will there be any likely question paper?
Likely question paper. The thing is that this is what you know, that Yamraj is uncorruptible. However much you earn the millions, he is uncorruptible. He will not take any bribe. So there are no likely questions. You know what type of questions will come? Very simple. That now you have the recorded version also. You can hear that. You can read the text, and then you can prepare yourself. So simple.
No, so one or two participants told me that they won't remain present on that day, examination day.
I will do that surgical strike. What is surgical strike? I wrote down the absentees, and when we begin the Dilbisha Vivek text, in between I'll ask that absentee. How you ask?
In the school, it is known as surprise test.
So that is what I do in Bhiwandi. So they are quite alert. Bhiwandi is morning 6 o'clock class, so they are quite alert like this. And if I see somebody sleepy, I'll ask him the question.
Okay, so we'll meet after 2 weeks, Swamiji.
Yeah.
And we'll conclude today's session. We'll conclude today's session.
Okay.
Hari Om Swamiji. Hari Om. Thank you very much.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Swamiji. Thank you.